Hi guys, and welcome to the Ace Tanker for the Skoda T24, the Tier 5 Czechoslovakian medium tank. And to all intents and purposes, it's not a very good tank. It really isn't a very good tank. I'm glad to have gotten through this tank, grinded. I'm playing the T25 now, which is a much better tank, but didn't like this tank very much when I was playing it because it seems to be all weaknesses. The armor, even though it's sloped, I'll get back to that sloped armor in a moment, but the sloped armor doesn't seem to be very good. It seems to get penned quite a bit. It's quite big for a medium tank, so it's a big target. It's quite fast in a straight line, but it doesn't maneuver particularly well. It doesn't traverse very well. It's another weakness. The view range is not amazing on the tank, but you can buff it. As you can see, I'm using binocs, and possibly the biggest weakness of this tank is the gun. Now, at first glance, the gun actually looks okay because the penetration of 132mm with the 75mm is very good. It's got very good penetration, and the alpha damage is pretty standard for a tier 5 medium tank. A lot of German tanks have 110mm are alpha damage, so the penetration very good, the alpha damage is pretty standard, and the gun looks quite good until you take into account the fact that this tank has the worst DPM. It literally has the worst DPM of any tier 5 medium tank. The DPM is just over 1,000, which is absolutely pathetic. There are tanks that are, the M3 Lee that I covered recently has 2,300 DPM. So yeah, this tank 1,000 DPM is very poor. And that's down to very long reload time. It's not an autoloader. It's a standard single fire gun. It's a long 75mm that copied German tanks of the time, but it's just got a long reload. Terrible DPM, bad aim time, and bad accuracy, and yeah, just not very many strengths to this tank. As I say, that DPM just kills it. There are some strengths. I'm saying they're not many, but there are some strengths. I mean, the signal range, yay! The signal range is quite good. The view range is, as I say, okay, but that's why you tend to use binocs to make it that much better. The tank is quite fast in a straight line, and it's got very good gun depression. But that's pretty much it. The rest of it is all about the gun. Now, while I was playing this game, really, this isn't a very good game. It's not a very good Ace Tanker because I don't do much in this, and I'm very lucky to get an Ace Tanker because I make a huge mistake that almost costs me my life. It almost costs me the game. So yeah, I was quite lucky to pull an ace out of this tank, but some of you are probably here to hear the history, and surprisingly enough, this is a very difficult tank to find any history on it because, according to Wargaming, the only history they provide was that this was a project drawn up by Skoda for the Wehrmacht in 1941, and it never made it to prototype stage, but other than that, it's very difficult to find any history on this tank whatsoever. All the usual sources fail to even mention this tank, and there's a few reasons for that. Basically, Skoda, or Czechoslovakian tank design pre-World War II was actually very good. The tanks Czechoslovakia were manufacturing were very good prior to World War II. You had the LTVZ-35, which became the Panzer 35T. You had the LTVZ-38, which became the Panzer 38T. You had the LTVZ-39, which became the Panzer 39T. All of those tanks were very good. In fact, they were better at the time they were developed than even the German Panzer 1s and 2s. So the Czechoslovakian tank development prior to World War II was very good. However, after the German invasion, after Germany had taken over Czechoslovakia, a lot of German tank development was given to German companies. Czechoslovakian tank development was changed from tank development into more of artillery and anti-tank weapons rather than actual tanks themselves. Tank development was limited to German companies. So yeah, about around 1941, Czechoslovakia didn't stop them from designing tanks. It's just they weren't put into prototype or weren't put into development. But around 1941, the Germans were running into the T-34 quite a lot on the Eastern Front. So they came up with a couple of ideas for new tanks, and one of them was the Skoda T24 and the Skoda T25. Now, basically, those two tanks, didn't follow on from each other. They were actually developed side by side. So the Tier 5 and Tier 6 in-game were designed at the same time, but that's all they were. They were just designed. They never made it to prototype stage because basically in 1942, when the tanks had been finished the design phase, they were sloped armor to match the T-34s. They were given long barrel 75mm to match the T-34s. Unfortunately, around 1942, just when the tanks were ready to go to prototype stage, that was when German companies started working on the Panther. So they decided to go with the Panther instead of the Skoda T24 and Skoda T25. As a way of trying to make these tanks still relevant, Skoda tried to, they removed the turret and they tried to make them into arty. So they tried to convert T24, T25 plans into artillery plans. But once again, unfortunately, Germany decided that no, we're going to keep arty development, we're going to keep tank development in Germany. So really, it wasn't until the Hetzer in 1943 that Czechoslovakian companies started designing something close to a tank again. They were really just focused on artillery pieces, guns, and anti-tank weapons up till, between 1939 and 1943 before the Hetzer came along. But there's almost no information about these tanks anywhere, and the only information I was able to find on the Skoda T24 and T25 were from a badly translated Russian site. So, yep, there we go. That's as much history as I can find. The tank was developed as a counter to the T-34. However, Germany was also working on the Panther at the same time, so they decided to go with the Panther as opposed to these tanks. But anyway, let's get back to this game. We are here on Malinovka. Now, this is a terrible game, but I suppose there are a couple of things you can learn from it. First thing is, Malinovka, it's a great scout map, and I've got Binocs on my team, so during the countdown to this game, I was looking at the enemy team, and I'm seeing a lot of inexperienced players, a heck of a lot of inexperienced players. So I've got terrible DPM. I mean, I could go and I could try and use my gun, I could try and shoot enemy tanks, but what I decided to do is I'm Tier 5 in a Tier 6 game. What I could possibly do is actually scout, because with Binocs the view range isn't too bad on the tank. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go scout, and I'm going to go down to the usual scout bush and try and pick up an ACU with assistance damage as opposed to direct damage myself. As I say, the gun on this, terrible. Reload time, terrible. Aim time, terrible. Accuracy, terrible. The only good thing about the gun is the penetration and the DPM. But we've moved up, we're going to let our Binocs kick in, and boom! We get our first spot. So you're going to see a lot of spotting damage, a lot of assistance damage over to the right-hand side. There goes a M4 already, thanks to my spotting. But I make the cardinal sin. I make the cardinal sin of passive spotting. I'm spotting lots of enemy tanks. I'm getting lots of assistance damage. But the cardinal sin about passive spotting is don't fire your flaming gun. And that's a mistake I'm going to make. I'm going to make that mistake pretty much soon, and it's going to cost me the game, or it's going to almost cost me the game. Oh, there we go. Cromwell, good target for tanks to hit. Come on, kill him. I figure the Cromwell, very dangerous tank, and he's going to get away. He's going to get away, so I shoot while I'm passive spotting. And it doesn't get me spotted. No, it got me spotted because I don't have 6th Sense on this tank, because it's a terrible crew, as per usual. I haven't played enough games in Czech tanks to actually get 6th Sense on any of the crews. But I've just taken 3 hits from a Cromwell. There's an arty shot. I'm down to 143 health. There's another arty shot. So it's pretty much obvious who the enemy team are focused on here. Probably I'm the only one that's been spotted, and a Cromwell takes a blind shot. There's no way I was spotted. Arty is still blind shooting. So I know where the Cromwell is. I know where the Covenanter is. They all shot me from those bushes over in F7. And enemy tanks are still going in. I'm on 9 hit points, and there you go. That is why you never, ever, ever, ever shoot your gun when you're passive spotting. It almost cost me my tank. It almost cost the game. So I've got a pretty, our team seems to be on paper a little bit more experienced than the enemy team. There's that nasty Covenanter who was one of the tanks that spotted me. I thought I was quite safe. I really did think I was quite safe. But then again, I was in a medium tank as opposed to a light tank. I shouldn't have taken the shot. And I'm not going to be stupid. I'm not going to take the shot again. But, yeah. Oh, I figure it's safe enough. There's a Chaffee over to the right. Maybe it was the Chaffee who spotted me, but then an OI is advancing up through the middle. We need tanks to take out this OI. Incredibly well armored, and I'm wondering, okay, we've got RT on our team. I'm just hoping RT can focus this guy down, because if he keeps advancing, I'm going to get spotted again. I've only got 9 hit points. I've got to be really, really careful. Oh, someone put in a big hit. That had to be our own OI. But once again, over to the right-hand side, we've just gotten a KV2 down to a one-hit kill. We're spotting a KV2, we're spotting the OI. And he's almost dead. Come on, guys. Finish him off. He is in severe danger of spotting me and ending my game prematurely, although I did that myself by shooting while passive spotting. Okay, he's gone, he's gone, he's gone. Alright, so now we've got an M4 advancing, and I'm hoping the M4 advances and spots the Cromwell, who made my life a misery. Cromwell took away most of my health. So KV2, not much to shoot at through the window. Do I risk it? Oh, no, there's an OI experimental over here as well that the M4 is spotted. So I decide I'm double bushing. There's a KV2 down in spawn, but I reckon that the KV2's view range is not good enough to spot me. Cromwell has been spotted, so I move back to a different bush just to try and keep an eye on this Cromwell, make sure he doesn't spot me. And once again, I'm double bushing. So I should be quite safe. There are very, very few tanks that can spot me in this position when I fire. But I'm going to move up, use my gun depression. I use the tank. Very few strengths of the tank. The tank has very few strengths, but I don't use very many of them in this game. So I'm advancing, and OI experimental in the distance. And as you can see, the penetration on this gun is very, very good. But the rate of fire, look how long it takes to reload. This is a medium tank, and it's got almost heavy tank reload standard, or reload time. But accuracy is not very good, but it seems to be working at the moment. M44 blown kill. So there's my second kill of the game. But again, trying to stay safe from this Cromwell. Chinu I've now spotted. There's a Tog 2 I've spotted in the corner. So my binocs have kicked in again. And I'm going to risk. I should be safe from the Cromwell. I was going to risk a shot in the Chinu, but nope. You can see the aim time on this gun is terrible as well. It's got bad aim time, bad reload, bad accuracy, although we put in a beautiful shot in the Cromwell there. And just remember, even though the gun seems to be performing better than usual, you know, it's always going to look as if it's better than usual because it's an Ace Tanker game. So, I mean, we're on 666 damage, but I've picked up a heck of a lot of assistance damage. Accuracy, not very good. Couldn't sneak one in through the window, so we'll try again. Okay, we take out the Chinu. There's a Tog 2. The Cromwell, unfortunately, has killed our RT, so there's a Cromwell behind me. Here I'm trying to use my gun depression again, trying to use bushes, trying to get a shot on this Tog 2. Not very many tanks left on the enemy team, so I'm going to sit here. There's a Cromwell coming up from behind. Just looking to see if I get shots anywhere. No, not going to be able to get shots on the Tog or the Panzer III. And again, I'm only on 9 hit points. I've spent most of this game on 9 hit points, so I really, really don't want to take on a Cromwell who's on half health and who's a tier higher than me. So I'm advancing, thinking that the Cromwell is probably going to come back and defend. So Tog at the distance, bad shot by me, but he hasn't spotted me. And old man reaction shot because the reload is so bad in this tank I wasn't able to get another shot in. But we do get assistance damage. It was me who's spotting the Tog. So once again, our team have dominated this game. Thankfully, a lot of that was down to spotting, and we're now capping. So I'm simply just moving back. I'm not interested in capping. I'm interested in spotting the Cromwell when he comes back to defend. So there's two ways the Cromwell's going to come. The Cromwell's going to be coming down through our cap, or the Cromwell's going to be coming down the 7-8 lines. I'm going to be able to spot him from this bush anyway, or either way. But it doesn't look as if the Cromwell is interested in fighting, because there are only 10 seconds left. There's absolutely no sign of the Cromwell. I've got a funny feeling he's just decided to stay alive. He's not going to bother resetting. So 10 seconds left. Not much to do. 3 tanks capping. I'm telling the team there's no reason to cap, but you know, there's no point. They're going to cap regardless of what I say. And there we go. End of the game. So yeah, a horrible, horrible little game in the Skoda T24. I think off the top of my head, it's been a while since I played this game, but I think off the top of my head, this was the final game I played in it. I think I sold it after this and moved on, but I didn't even know I got a mark of excellence or a second mark of excellence on the tank. But we did pick up the Ace, we picked up patrol duty, not too bad in a medium tank, and that was all down to looking at the enemy team. I looked at the enemy team, saw they were inexperienced, figured a lot of them would be camping spawn, and decided to exploit that fact and the fact I had binocs on my tank, but made a huge mistake by shooting when passive spotting, and that's something you can never do, guys. Never ever risk that. It'll cost you more than it will gain. You might be able to land your shot, but there's a good chance you're going to lose a lot of hit points or even your life just for that low hit kill. But yeah, we finished top on XP with 1035. Yeah, not amazing, but I suppose it was good enough to ace the tank. And while the damage did not look amazing, 874 damage with 3 kills, what got us the ace was this. So we earned 2,571 assistance damage. So we spotted 7, damaged 5, destroyed 3, but huge amount of assistance damage to go along with my 874 damage I did myself. We fired 15 and we only managed to land 9. So yeah, I mean, I took a few blind shots and I took a few bad shots, but accuracy on this gun, incredibly bad. Aim time, incredibly bad. Most of the time you're firing, you're not going to be fully aimed because the aim time is that slow, and as a result, the accuracy is terrible. It's also really, really bad at shooting on the move. Forgot to mention that. The accuracy while shooting on the move is also terrible. And the DPM, just over 1,000. Worst DPM at tier 5 at medium tank. Not very, very good. Not a lot of fun to play. Glad I sold it, but didn't have to fire any premium. Earned 37,000 credits with a premium account. It wasn't my first game of the day because I was playing it to get the ace. I think what actually happened was I finished the grind and I just decided, you know what, I'll play game after game till I actually get the ace, and thankfully it happened, but I ended up having to be a scout in order to pick up the ace because I just find the gun is bad on this tank. It can behave or it can be absolutely terrible, a little bit erratic, so didn't enjoy the tank. But anyhow, there we go. It's done, it's dusted, it's sold. We've moved on to the Skoda T25, which is a much, much better tank in my opinion. I love the German T25, and the Skoda T25 is almost identical except it gets an autoloader. So while the DPM is not amazing on the tank either, the autoloader makes it a little bit more fun to play. I haven't been playing World of Tanks in about a week. I've just been too busy, but yeah, I'm happy. We're advancing, and I'm finally getting into Czechoslovakian tanks that I don't hate. But this was probably the last of the really, really bad ones, at least touch wood, hopefully. As per usual, I'm going to be giving out some Steam keys for this game, so just leave a comment if you're interested in picking up a Steam key, and that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.